Hi, my name's Danny, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Netflix film, Witcher: The Nightmare of the Wolf. There's not going to be any spoilers in this video, but I'm going to talk about sort of general things I liked, things I didn't like, and then just sort of go through it a bit. What I will say for this film is, for the first time it's been in an anime form, it feels like The Witcher. There's no sort of time where I was like, this isn't The Witcher I know and love. It felt very much like that. We had, all the violence you would expect, all the nudity you would expect, all the gore, monsters. It kind of had all the things that we have got used to when it comes to The Witcher. For example, in the first 5 minutes we see the whole family pretty much massacred, so you get very much what you're used to when it comes to The Witcher. It's dark, it's gritty, it's what we like. It's dark fantasy at its finest. Things I liked about this film were the animation was incredible. Some of the fight scenes were so impressive. You can't even, your brain's trying to watch it and you're just seeing things go past so quickly, but it all feels like a proper fight. It's not confusing or you don't know what's happening. It just feels like this intense, incredible fight. I've played Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and I liked Vesemir, where I got into his character, but this felt like it gave more of him. He felt more human. He felt like more of a character. I know they're not human fully, but you got to see his emotions, the things that drive him, what he wants, and this is going to tie into the Netflix The Witcher Season 2, which I'm excited for. I hope they keep all the aspects of what happened here as part of his past. So one of the things at first I didn't like, but then I kind of got over, was the medallion. Now I am aware that the reason they did that is because that's what it looks like in the live action show, but my first introduction to The Witcher was the game, so I'm super married to that version of The Witcher. So sometimes I see that medallion, I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. That's not what we have normally. But I think it makes sense. This is Netflix version of The Witcher, so things should tie in to that version. And I get it, and it makes sense. But at first when I saw it, I was like, no, these aren't the medallions that we normally have. But I got into it, I didn't mind it after a while. Considering how violent this film was, I was very surprised how much heart it had and how much it kind of gave Vesemir this sense of, because we'd kind of seen him as the paternal figure for Geralt in the games, but this kind of made him a fun swashbuckling, because I think he says he wants to be an adventurer and an explorer, and he was a really fun character to watch and to get into. So I really enjoyed that, but then he had these moments that were incredibly sad and moving, and you're going whoa, this has got more layers to it than I was expecting, which I really enjoyed, and I felt like the film did that well. The contrast between those high intensity fights and then those moments which were a bit more deep and meaningful and carried a bit more weight. And all I'm going to say is the scene, if you've seen the film, with the lake had me moaning about my hay fever as if I was Tracy Beaker.
Are you crying? Bug off, Reed. Tracy Beaker never cries. It's the dumping ground dust. Gets my hay fever.
That is going to be a reference that's going to fly over so many people's head. That is such a British reference. If you understand what I'm talking about, well done. You're from Britain. But anyone else is going to be who the hell is Tracy Beaker? Man, love that show. Anyway, that's super over there. That doesn't matter. Back to what you're here for, the review. The thing I really, really there was a couple of scenes in this film that I really, really enjoyed. They were the Trial of the Grasses. Now, I've played the game, the third game, Wild Hunt, and I've read Last Wish, and I've heard about the trials before that turn boys into witches. I kind of got a sense of it, but this is the first time a Witcher IP or whatever has made me really understand how brutal they are and how just completely horrific it can be. The thing I super enjoyed about it is it didn't shy away from details, and Vesemir comes into this beforehand thinking he's like super positive, he wants to be a witcher, he wants to have adventures, and then just as the trial goes on you kind of see a shift in him, which I really appreciated, and it just sunk into me how intense these trials are. So I really liked that I got to see that as a fan of The Witcher, just how intense these trials are and just the significance of what these boys have gone through. I liked that. Now, if you're a fan of The Witcher, or you played the games or read the books or whatever, I think you're going to enjoy this film. It's got a lot of nods to stuff you know. It is for the fans. My only thing is if you were like super new and knew nothing, I don't know if it would be the thing that got you hooked. I think it would get you interested. I think it tells you some decent stuff, but there's so much going on. There's a lot of names, there's a lot of places. I think you would maybe not enjoy it as much as somebody who knows the property, who knows the characters. It's going to be super lost on you. You know, this film as well, I would not say it's the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but it was a fun hour and a half. Really enjoyed it. Saw some incredible like lore about The Witcher, so I enjoyed learning more details of that. It just felt like it made the world expand, and it kind of got me excited to see what they're going to do with season 2 of The Witcher. I hope it's better than season 1. But yeah, so I think it's done what it was meant to do. What it was meant to do was get people hyped and add more detail for Vesemir in season 2. So it's done its job. The things that I didn't like about this film were what I found with like the Netflix adaptation of the Witcher properties is everything feels a little bit rushed. I feel like nothing is allowed to breathe. Story-wise, like I want to see the violence, I want to see the gore, the nudity, the whatever. I want to see all that stuff. Like, I'm a fan of The Witcher, that's what I know it is. So they put that stuff in there, which I'm like, yeah, super good, but it feels like some of the moments that are more heartfelt, which is another thing that I do like about The Witcher, is it's got all this, like, what people would deem as, like, superficial fantasy, there's elves, there's whatever, but underneath it all, it's a really deep messaging about, you know, fear making people lash out and do horrible things against people they don't know just because they're scared of them, and political and power and mistrust, and you just get all these deeper messages within the story. But sometimes with the Netflix adaptations, I feel like they're just lost because they're just banging through the story beats and stuff just needs a chance to breathe. Like in this film, I liked all the steps we took. I just wish that some moments got time to like sit with me for a minute and go, wow, okay. There's like no downtime in this film. So when something bad happens or two characters meet again, it just needed like maybe like 30 seconds longer. I know they're restricted with how long the film can be. I feel like they've got so many ideas and so many things they want to put in it that it would make somebody who wasn't a die-hard fan or knew the basics of the world kind of turn them off a bit, because they'd be like, who are you? Who just died? What? So that would be my only like concern with that, is it just feels a bit rushed. I mean, the way I got into The Witcher again is the games, which the perk with the games and the books, because again I've only read the first one, is even though they're complicated and they're complicated in a lot of detail, you have time. Like that game is stupidly long, but if you don't get stuff straight away, you have time to explore the world and then figure it out. Details are like, they're not really given to you in The Witcher. They're kind of just like mentioned in passing, and if you pick up on it then cool, if you don't, you don't. Which works for the games, which kind of works for the books, but when you're watching a film, and if I want to bring somebody in who's never seen anything Witcher related, I feel like they're not going to be able to get on board with this film because there's just too much going on. Rambling aside, I would give this film 7 out of 10. Definitely recommend it if you're a fan of The Witcher, or if you've never seen anything that's like Witcher related before, I would maybe learn some other bits and then go watch it. But it's a generally fun film. It was a good time and would recommend watching it. Have you seen Witcher Nightmare of the Wolf? If you have, comment down below, tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Right, see you later. Ciao for now.